All right, all right, all right. It's your boy coming through. I'm on the set for Sides. You guys good?
What's up? How you doing, people?
All right, all right. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Almost
Thank you.
sat on this like cushion right now.
That's one of our lovely. That's my favorite cushion, the purple
This
velvet
set
one.
is beautiful, though. This set is so beautiful.
Thank you. So I want to start off by asking you a whole heap of questions. So
Sure.
I have the first question for you. So we were just talking about parents influencing their child's careers. I don't know if you were listening to that, but given the influence, I want to ask you, did your parents influence your career? Are they still influencing your career?
See, man, my parents came from Pakistan to Canada when I was like 3 years old, so they basically sat me down the second the plane landed, and they're like, yo, you gotta be a lawyer, doctor, engineer. So I had this crazy amount of pressure from my parents. They wanted me to pursue those careers because those careers have social prestige and they have a lot of money associated to them. I never wanted to do any of that. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a poet. That was always what I wanted to do, and I had to really fight for that in my household. And you know, I'm glad I did, because here I am now on Sides doing my thing. So.
You're here on Sides right now, but a little bit back, you freestyled with the king, Kung Fu Kenny, Kendrick Lamar. We're gonna show a clip, and you have to tell us all about it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But now I'm going far, put the gas in my car, passed off the mic to Kendrick Lamar.
Growing up, living with these teens, every day we contemplate no dreams. We write down more types of schemes, but we bigger than that, we going with the themes, Riz.
Oh my God.
Yo, damn with the periods. Like,
that was probably one of the biggest highlights of my life. And at a time, too, where I was really struggling with self-doubt and thinking, man, I really don't know if I'm gonna make it in this. It's so tough being an artist. And just getting a chance to do that with Kendrick Lamar, like, not only was it super dope to like tell my friends, but it was validation. Like, yo, you fought for this, and this is the result. This is the fruits of your labor. And for me, that was really a big point in terms of pushing me further and saying, I have to pursue this now. If I can get here, there's no way I can't go farther. So that was really what it was about. But K-Dot, man, he's dope.
So you just talked about your self-doubts, and I've had the pleasure of hearing your story and knowing you well. I heard at 15-year-old you were arrested, and so I want to know what brought you into poetry, and to see how far you've come and how far you've grown. What brought you to that place now?
Well, one first person that I have to really mention is my high school teacher, Miss Riley. She was dope. She had like Timberland boots back in grade 10, and she had a haircut that made her look like Rihanna. And I really loved her vibe, because she wouldn't be about just, teaching Shakespeare. She'd be about like, yo, you guys know what Tupac is? And be like, yo, Tupac's a gangster rapper. She'd be like, no, he's a poet, And she gave me this book in grade 10, and it was called The Rose That Grew from Concrete. This is the book of Tupac's poetry. And I never knew Pac did poetry. And when I had this, I was like, yo, this is dope. Mans have to try it, So after I just started writing my own poetry, and I said, this is how I'm going to share my story, because poetry is such a powerful tool. And that's where it happened. Then I caught this boy at Mary Ward, and now this guy's on Sides, Yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you came to Canada from Pakistan. And I think often Canada likes to think that we're super welcoming and that we're this like multicultural mixing pot, and that I think especially sometimes we like point to America and we go, oh, but we're not like that, we're not racist,
Yeah.
And I guess like coming from Pakistan, like what has your experience been? And I heard about an incident that happened to your mom that maybe you could discuss.
Yeah, I mean, we live in Mississauga, shout out Sauga City. My mom was walking down the street, it was like Christmas time 2 years ago, and some dude in a pickup like literally just pulled up and threw coffee and garbage on my mom. And it was, not only was it just so disheartening, because like Mississauga is such a, culturally diverse community, it's just that like, this is my mom, and like, it just, it made me so upset. But I think being Pakistani is something I have to be proud of, and I want to be proud of, and I want everyone to be proud of wherever they come from. That's your roots, that's your heritage. My kids are gonna know about, butter chicken and naan and roti, And if I don't take pride in that, then my kids won't take pride in that. And I want to be serious about who I am, And that's what I do when I get up on the stage and I share my story and my poetry. I'm just opening up my wounds and my scars. And I think the fact that, all this happened is just another reason for me to keep writing and keep sharing these stories, And yeah, America's got it bad, but it doesn't mean there isn't a problem in Canada. Even with what happened in Quebec with the recent bill that was about like, Muslim women wearing hijabs and all that, there's a lot of fight that we still need to win.
you know, talking about that whole culture of hate against Muslim people, I come from a Muslim background as you do, and sometimes I get very disheartened by seeing all these bad things are happening. Do you have hope, though, that it can change and that we can live in a peaceful society?
Well, even the fact that me and you are on the show right now is giving hope, you know? The fact that there are two Muslim people, like, you know, doing this.
We're repping it out here,
exactly.
right?
I mean, it's not only is it cool for other young Muslims to see, but it just sort of breaks the stereotype that just because you're Muslim doesn't mean you're a terrorist, whatever. You could be a Muslim and you could be dope and, like, you know, be a talk show host or whatever, you know, or be like a poet, you know? So I really want to break that stereotype. And I do feel like I'm a very liberal Muslim, and you know, the things that maybe I talk about and I address a lot of other people won't, or maybe they feel a little iffy about it, like I got tattoos and all that stuff. But I feel like I have to just be my authentic self, you know what I mean? And yeah, there are even problems, you know, with people perceiving Muslims and all that, but there's even problems in the Muslim community. There's like an Arab superiority complex, you know, people think because they're Arab, they're better Muslims. Like, no, like, so not only is it a problem we need to address in terms of people addressing a Muslim certain way, but even the way Muslims address each other. So it's very multifaceted, you know?
Talk about like changing the way that Muslims address each other, and one big aspect of that is you calling yourself a self-proclaimed feminist. Now, how would you respond to people that say that feminism is like intrinsically just for women, or that's like an anti-male, super sexist ideology?
See, you know, there are really negative and I think unfair stereotypes associated to the word feminism, which is, I don't think it's fair to really have that. When I look at feminism, I look at it really as being an ally as a man, you know, and understanding and deconstructing my male privilege, because there is a patriarchal society that I live in that gives me privilege over women. So really just stepping back and think about things like sexual assault, you know, like men don't know how to talk about consent. Fathers don't know how to have the conversation with kids. You know, we have to really look back and say, like, how do I really deconstruct this mask of masculinity and like really understand what it truly means to be a man? Because being a man means asking for consent. Being a man means respecting your woman and not using stupid words to talk to any woman, you know? Respecting your mom. Like this, oh man, it gets me so cheesed, you know? But I just feel like if I can be, you know, really honest for a second, if I like, you know, perform at school or whatever, this is like the main topic I'd like to talk about, because there's so many young men listening to like mumble rap right now thinking they got to be 21 Savage, you know? So that's not the kind of stereotype I want young men looking up to in terms of, you know, who they think they have to be. It's not about being cool, it's about doing the right thing, you know?